What's going on, everybody? I'm your host Sean with Paper Planes. Welcome back to my Dark Souls 2 Ultimate Walkthrough. We're going to go ahead and tap the bonfire, and we're going to travel to the Lost Bastille, and we're going to go to the Servants' Quarters bonfire. The Morning Star is the best weapon ever. That's what that note said, if you couldn't read as fast as I could. Alright, so this area, we're not actually going to fight a boss in this episode, but there's a lot of stuff to do, so forgive me if I get mixed up at any point, because we're going to be moving all over the place, but I'll do my best for you guys. So first off, we're going to climb down this ladder. Now, it's pretty dark in these areas, so you got this one doggy here, and that's pretty much all you got to worry about down here. As always, they're very easy. Go ahead and loot the body. This is where we get the large club. We're not going to be using this. It requires a shit ton of strength, but we'll go ahead and check it out. The large club is a large wooden club, not an elegant weapon by any means, but a beastly thing with plenty of weight to easily break a shielded defense. So you can see there, it required 26 strength to wield, so we're not going to have to worry about that for quite a while. Now we get the Priest Chime, and this is a casting weapon, and it's for miracles, not sorceries. So let's check it out. The Priest Chime is a sacred chime granted to high-ranking clerics, a catalyst for miracles and hexes. Drangleic was the home of many clerics, but King Vendrick held a lukewarm opinion of their powers, and kept them only as attendants to ceremony. In this sense, Drangleic was not the place for a cleric with any ambition. If you wanted to be a badass cleric, you were in the wrong place. So, yeah. We're not worrying about that either. You can have your fun with all the barrel crushing and box crushing. There's no treats to be had, unfortunately, but there is a Pharaoh's Lockstone section here. There's actually two of them in this relative area, so we'll see both of those in this episode. But we don't have any Lockstones currently, so we won't worry about those. You might have one if you chose not to use it at the No Man's Wharf location. So you can decide if that's worth it to you at this time, but you'll see what's behind there later in another episode when we actually return to this zone. Alright, so once you've done that, now we're going to move through this area over here. Now there's going to be a jailer to the left. Right when they do that, they're doing a pyromancy attack. Whenever they slow down like that and put their arm out, and that's actually what you want to see them do. It's their kind of their most basic attack. It's really stupid. It takes forever for them to cast, and they never hit you with it if you have any idea what's going on. So stand about here and then roll forward. We're going to loot this item. Oops. Toggle, and then we'll loot. No! I hate when people leave notes on corpses. You fucking assholes. Stop doing that. So we get our human effigy, and we're going to turn around. Now, of course, if you don't have the gymnastic skills that I have, you can always just smash these crates with your weapon if you're afraid of rolling off the cliff there. I got skills, baby. And we're in here. There's another jailer to the left. So just come out with your shield equipped, then target him. Be careful of those areas where the bridge is actually broken. You don't want to get stuck next to one of those holes and get knocked off. Now what do we have? Okay, so we're going to walk across this platform here, this rooftop rather. Loot this item. The flame butterfly, we already have one of those, so I don't need to go into explaining what that is. And then we're going to sprint across here and jump. Go ahead and pick up this loot. It's a large soul. Climb this ladder before we do anything else. Now you see here, this is an area that we're going to approach a little bit later on, but you can drop down here if you want. I'm not going to do that just yet, but I just want to point that out to you guys so you understand what that location is when I identify it a little bit later on as well. Alright, so there's 4, maybe 5 dogs down here. I think there's 4 though, and they're all kind of underneath the roof. So if you wanted, you could have targeted them from the other side, but they're really not much of a problem, and sometimes they wander out into the open as well. So since we can't see them right now, what we're going to do is get to our soul arrows, our great soul arrow. We're going to sprint and jump into that corner over there, and then we're going to turn and target the enemies. Alright, that didn't work out. You can also do this, climb up this ladder here. Now there's a guy right here, so you want to kill him first. Alright, he's no more danger to us at this point. Now we can just focus on these dogs. Oh, you smart little puppy. Alright, so go ahead and kill this archer while we're up here. I think there's one more guy in there. There he is. Now we'll be able to focus on the dogs. See, and they'll just kind of wander around eventually, so we can switch to our binoculars. Shoot one in the booty hole. Get his buddy while he's mourning his friend's death. Now there's only one more left. There might be 2. I think there's just 4 dogs total. There he is. Ooh, scary. And just some more barrels, of course. Barrels and boxes. Always fun. Man, that dog was... It looked like he was standing up. I was like, oh shit, he's still alive. Okay, so what we're going to do now is smack this rock. And 3 of these explodey dudes are going to come up. So you want to kill them before they get the chance to do that jumping, falling attack, which does a shit ton of damage. It explodes you. It doesn't actually suicide them, but they'll recover from it and they'll kick your ass. So they're super fragile though. They're pretty much a one-hit kill no matter what. But here we get the Wanderer armor set, and this is an old favorite of mine from Dark Souls 1. It's a little bit of a sentimental armor piece. I wore it for most of my playthroughs all the time, so I just really love this set. But we'll take a look at the chest piece real quick. The Wanderer coats. A coat for the roving type. Light, sturdy leather made for long journeys. And the reason I liked this armor set so much is just for what it said. It was lightweight and it was good for... it had good durability. It was just good all the way around, and it looks pretty cool to me. So I liked upgrading it. It was a good item to get early on, and if we hadn't spent any upgrades on this leather armor, I'd probably switch to the Wanderer armor set right now, but it just doesn't make sense to, because at this point of the game, our upgrade materials come at a premium, so we don't really want to waste them any further. Alright, so we've got a couple doors to choose from. We'll go ahead and open this one. We're going to use our antiquated key, of course. Now, when you walk in here, you're going to see there's a guy to the right. So you don't want to fight them in here because of the barrels, but he's not paying attention to you, so you can go ahead and take him out. Now you can hear other stuff going on, but there's nobody in the room for an immediate danger. There's really nothing going on here This stuff is here for no apparent reason. But this leads to a shortcut. And this brings us back to one of the areas that we started in. That's actually where the platform was, where the jailer was hanging out, and then the other platform where we knocked down and the body came to loot. So we've got a bonfire just around the corner from here, if you need it. Now this broken room right here, it's going to have a bad dude in it. So this one, they're both sitting down, so as long as you come in ready to attack, you're going to get the jump on them and kill them pretty quickly. It takes them a little bit of time before they actually get aggressive. So you got some more flame butterflies. Hoorah! If you haven't noticed, I really like to destroy any of the atmosphere objects in the game. It's nice to make a bunch of space for yourself, and to just potentially find an item sitting underneath something like that. So go ahead and open this door here, and this is actually the room where we killed all these guys from the outside of the windows. So you don't want to just walk in here until you've already killed them. And if you remember correctly, we climbed up that little ladder to do so. It had the 2 archers in here and the 1 sword soldier. Alright, so we'll go ahead and loot this. That was just from killing one of the mobs. Climb up this ladder to loot this item in here. Some souls and a blossom. And now we got to exit this area and climb up the ladder. Now we can loot this. Fruity. Okay, so you can see right away that we've got some enemies in here, and there's one to the left who's going to charge you. Depending on your weapon, you don't want to be stuck in that hallway if you have like a wide swinging weapon, because it's just going to hit the wall and you're going to get your ass kicked. So I knew that the swinging style of this sword was actually a more of a forward upswinging motion, so I wasn't going to have a problem in that hallway. Alright, so after you kill both of those guys, you don't have to worry about any enemies in this room, and there's actually lots of loot to be had in here. So there's 4 chests located in here. Or 4, I think. Maybe there's less. We're about to find out. So we get the bone staff, and this is a sorcerer item, so that's pretty good for us, and we'll be able to see the difference pretty soon. So, sorry, I went right by it. The bone staff is a staff crafted with animal bones, a catalyst for sorceries and hexes. Properly trained sorcerers receive their first staff from their master after reaching a certain level of accomplishment. Those without proper training must devise something of their own making. So basically it's saying this is a ragtag sorcerer staff, but it's actually a little bit better in slightly different reasons. So we'll see here that it requires 20 intelligence to wield effectively, and it's got a dark scale of A and a, well, let's see. I'll show you guys with the select button so you can see exactly what this stuff does. So it's got a magic attribute bonus scale of D, and that's influenced by the intelligence on the magic attack. So, and then you can see here, this is what the dark attribute is. It's influence of faith and intelligence on dark attack. It scales with the lower of these 2 attributes. So even though it's an A scale, it's going to be based off of our faith statistic, because it's the lower of our intelligence. So we'll go to our player status, and then you can see we've only got 4 faith. So that's not scaling for shit really in the effect that we hope it for. So if you wanted to use that weapon and hope that it scaled higher with dark damage over something else that scaled just off of intelligence, then you'd be mistaken. So you have to pay attention to things like that. There's sometimes items have if this then that stipulations, so you need to be sure you know what you're getting into, because you might be wasting resources on on an item thinking you're upgrading something that's really good for you, when in fact you don't have a stat that it really requires to make it beneficial. So always check out the items that you're looting before you start using them and investing time into that. Alright, enough of that technical talk. Get some more swag. The Twin Blade. Lots of loot already so far. So the Twin Blade is down here, I think. There we go. The Twin Blade is a Twin Blade fashioned from rare Geisteel, designed from high-ranking Dranglic knights, hence the decorative design. Geisteel equipment is of the finest make, but Geisteel is so rare that very few of these weapons were actually used in combat. You can see it's got pretty high requirements here, 14th strength and 26 dexterity. I never really use this weapon, but it's definitely something that you guys can get into if you desire. We probably won't see it being used in this playthrough though. I honestly can't tell you too much about how much effectiveness it is. It's just not one of those things that I've really spent much time on yet. What? You're supposed to know everything. I unsubscribe. Parrying dagger, yes. Okay, so the parrying dagger is something that I love from the original Dark Souls, and I use it quite a bit when I'm parrying in this game as well. So the parrying dagger, unlike standard weapons, this dagger is equipped on the left hand for parrying. Accomplishments are forever out of reach to those who constantly fear failure. A true warrior hones his body and mind and peers far beyond immediate hardship. So this is, even though you have shields that are capable of parrying, some shields or even the parrying dagger are better than others, and they have what is called a parrying window, which basically means the time in which the enemy is attacking you, you have to parry their attack. So if you've got a shield that's not very good at parrying, but it's capable of doing so, it's going to have a small parry window, which means you've got less time to successfully parry that attack than you would if you're holding something like the parrying dagger. So if you like to play with counterattacks, thrusting, stabbing motions, you want to have parrying skill down to a pat, and it doesn't matter if you're holding the parrying dagger or shield, in the sense that you're not going to be using your shield to block, so you might as well use a parrying dagger. That way you can counterattack with a bigger window and have more success opportunities, therefore mitigating the amount of damage you'll take over your playthrough. Also, I want to point this out. If you like to parry, but you also are using your shield, your parrying shield for defense, like we are right now in this character, we're using a parrying shield. It's not like a great parrying shield, but it has the capability. But we're primarily using it for its physical resistance because it's got lightweight and it does a lot of physical resistance already. So it's kind of like a multi-use shield. But if I was the type of player that likes to walk around and use this for defense, then I'm going to keep the shield over the parrying dagger because I want to have that immediately available and not have to switch on and off from the parrying dagger to a shield. But it's all about your playing style, what you feel comfortable with, so you'll figure that part out on your own. Alright, so there's just those 3 chests. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Every time I see this box here, I think it's a chest before I destroy it. But, for some reason, in the back of my mind, I'm feeling like there's a hidden wall here, but I don't think there is now that. Oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. Here's the second location for the Pharaoh's Lockstone. So, like I said, originally we don't have one in our inventory. We've already used both of them that we've obtained so far, so this is something to make a mental note of and to come back here in the future if you have another Pharaoh's Lockstone to use. As you play through the game, you'll figure out which Pharaoh's Lockstones you want to use at which locations and if you want to save one in your inventory for a while. So that's just something that you'll pay attention to. Alright, so now that we've cleared out that area, we're going to come to, well, shortly we're going to come to a zone where we have another shortcut. Doesn't that just look like it's a illusory wall? It does, doesn't it? Too many years of Zelda forcing me to bomb walls and think everything is a hidden secret. Alright, so here's our shortcut, and this brings us back to the passageway. You see here, you should recognize this area, and there's that loot item that you've been seeing for since the last episode, and you're probably wondering when we're going to get it, and it's going to be very soon. Okay, so you can drop down here. It's actually the better option. So we're going to do that, and we're going to get the back of that enemy, but there's also going to be dogs here. There's going to be a dog to your right, and then the dog around the corner is also going to launch out at you. So you want to kill that first. We're not going to be able to target it with our auto target. Sometimes the wall's going to get in the way. Let's see if we can make it work. Damn you! Alright, it's just not going to happen. There we go. Alright, so we're going to fall off when we cast this. Alright, so we're good there. I'm just going to kill Bad Boy for the hell of it. Oops. Wasn't paying attention to that attack. Go ahead and heal up. Now, we've got our bonfire down there, and we're actually going to be going back to that area, so we might as well go ahead and tap the bonfire there. There's going to be doggies here. God, it's terrible. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now, guys. I'm just pressing the attack button. That's all I'm doing. I'm playing Tekken in my mind. Button mash. Sweep the leg. Alright, so we're going to travel. And we're going to go back to the Lost Bastille. And we're going to go to the servants' quarters. Gonna work our way back through this area again. Now, I know you guys remember we've already been through here, but we're still gonna kill the same enemies that we killed before. Nice. Twilight herb. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet. So the Twilight herb is a slightly more effective amber herb. So we're probably going to get one more of those during this episode, but just wanted to point that out while we got our first one. Now, you can go kill this guy if you want. More souls, why not? Hey, wait a minute. Okay, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have the silver serpent ring on. Alright, so when we get in here, we're going to rush around these barrels to the right and kill this guy. Now, there's nothing really in here to satisfy my needs except for the barrel rolls. There's so many barrels. Boom! You guys like that one? I just wanted to show you what happens if you roll into an explodey that's actually sitting on top of something. You can roll into an explosive barrel that is just sitting on the ground. It's not going to hurt you. But one of them that's laying on top of other stuff that's going to actually blow up from falling damage is going to damage you. Pressing the A button everywhere. Alright, so this door does absolutely nothing. There's a skeleton stuck in a wall. When you approach it, it's going to crumble. Now, this is an interesting lever here. It's going to open both doors. And there's some enemies around the corner, but it takes a while for you to actually be able to get to them. So you want to stay out of sight until that second door opens. can see that rooftop that we were at before. And now we're just going to run in there and kill everybody. There's the explodey falling jump. Now, of course, you can come in here, you can turn the corner slow with your sorcery catalyst and hit them with sorceries and back off and do it the smart way. But sometimes I just want to have fun. Okay, so now there's a couple more of those guys standing in there. But first there's one up here, and we're going to go ahead and take him out. Now, there's two more of those same enemies stuck in that little spot right there. I've actually never done the Pyromancy Flame for this, but I have a feeling it's going to be quite effective if we do so. So let's go ahead and put that on. Oops. So I'm just going to throw this into there. Oh, it didn't do anything like I expected it to. Man, I was hoping that it would have some kind of area effect and just blow everybody up. Nope, it doesn't. So, of course you can use any kind of ranged attack to kill all those guys just like that, but what you want to do if you don't want to waste any spells is just melee them. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. They might kind of like knock you back when you destroy all those clay pot things. But they're not going to do that explosive falling damage just yet. They kind of take a moment to activate themselves into attack mode. So unfortunately there's nothing in those things. There's nothing to gain from smashing them. Don't you always feel like these little areas, they just deceive you. They make you think that there's something in there. Now there's an illusory wall here. You just press the action button. And you wander through here and you're like, what the fuck, man? Where is the loot? But there's a side door right here. And this is going to lead us to 2 loot items. So we're going to sprint and jump. We got the flame butterfly again and a torch. And now this area is going to be tricky. So before you actually jump, or not jump, but wander off the ledge here, be sure that you have a homeward bone. You need at least one homeward bone here. And you can technically get back here without using the homeward bone, but it's going to be quite a pain in the ass. So I just suggest using that. Because if you risk jumping back onto that ledge where you came off of, it's really difficult jump to master, and I'm not even going to bother showing you guys because I'll probably fail a lot myself. And even if I do succeed, most of you won't be able to perform it. So it's just going to be more frustration than it's worth. I hate walking on ledges in this game. But basically we can loot this item here. This is going to be a shield, and it's a good shield because it's got some magic reflection capabilities. So it's the golden wing shield. We'll go ahead and check that guy out. Alright, so the golden wing shield is a blue shield with a gold relief of wings, likely a symbol of guardianship used by Knights of the Blue. Contains materials and enchanted by magic, allowing spells to be deflected by parrying. So that's a pretty cool idea right there. Sorry, I forgot to tell you what the stat requirements were. So we can see here that it requires 12 strength. So this is something that we'll actually be equipping relatively in the near future. So we can focus on that. But you can see it doesn't have good physical damage reduction. So it's not like something that we can just hold up and, like we are right now, and take blunt attacks straight on. So this is purely for magic resistance and magic reflection capabilities, so you don't really want to use it for anything else. Alright, so you've got 2 options here. You can just drop down and fight your way back to where you want to be. You can go to that bonfire and tap it after that, or you can use your homeward bone. If you want to be stingy and save a homeward bone, that's totally fine. You can definitely do that. But the problem with that is you've got this explosive barrel here, so you've got to decide what you're going to do. You could throw a firebomb or whatever. I don't have it equipped on this character, but I know I have some. So there's different options you can do. So let's just let's try the combat option here. We want to be careful that we don't actually drop onto the explosion. And I fucking missed completely. And I hear the doggies. So we'll let the doggies eat each other. Just get the hell out of here. Get it? Oh shit, there's 3 dogs? I have the wrong... I have everything up wrong. Perfect example of how to get killed. Everything I had on my inventory was the wrong thing. Yeah, so essentially the only difference between me dying there and me dying up top is that now I'll just be able to get my souls really easily. So that's why I use the homeward bone, just to avoid stupidity like that. So we'll just travel back to this bonfire. We're gonna go to McDuff's. It wouldn't be a Paper Planes video without a retarded, embarrassing death. Now would it? So there's our souls, there's the doggies. What's up, guys? Come on. Ooh, that really hurt. Alright, now let's travel out of here. I just want to get a couple extra souls. So we're going to go back to the servants' quarters. And I want to make sure that I've got the stuff that I actually need in this inventory slots. I don't need those items there. I want to get things that actually matter to me. Alright, I'm going to put those throwing knives there just in case too. Alright, cool. Now we good. Once again, we're going to move through here. And this is the last time we're going to have to backtrack for anything. See how easy it is to dodge that thing? I don't know why they have that jailer do that attack. It's just really pointless. But they give some good amount of souls, so they're definitely nice to attack. Alright, so we're going to be coming up on a tricky loot item in a second. I love that door. Remember, we've got 3 guys around here, so I'll show you the other way to take care of them. I'm going to get that flame off my hand. There you go. See, it's pretty easy. Remember, we got this guy up top. And we'll kill these other guys just like that. See, they just break out of the pot. And you can see they're in the ones that are just, they're the mid-sized pots. They're not the huge one like this, and they're not the little ones. They're in the medium-sized clay containers. So we want to get this item here, but there's no way to get it that we can actually figure out. So I'm going to show you the trick on how to obtain that thing. So we're going to run up here. Be careful because there's going to be some more enemies up here, and they're both sitting against the wall, so these two are really easy. Now there's a lot of guys upstairs, so you want to go ahead and kill them before you wander into the next room, because they will occasionally follow you down here. So we're going to take our soul arrows and use them here. Lots of easy kills. Make sure that you're checking out all of the options here. And that guy in the doorway is not an enemy. I know he looks like one, but it's a statue. And you'll be able to destroy that statue, or not destroy it, but you'll be able to fix that issue later on. So we'll come back here. You can't open this door until you get the key from the Bastille. So here you go. Walk across the wall. You should just get in the habit of this. Anytime you're in an area after you've cleared it out, just check walls. You never know what's going to be hidden there. So now we can open this here. There's no danger. There's no enemies until you get all the way down there. And you can see there's archers up on the ledge. And they're using heavy crossbows, so you don't want to fuck around. And they're pretty. You've got a pretty narrow area. You can definitely evade their attacks just by sprinting forward. But not knowing that they're there in the first place can be very dangerous. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to loot this guy. I know it looks like a trap of some sort, but we get the Skeptic's Spice. Let's check that out. This is going to be a good item for you, Faith. You miracle casting foos. Where is it? There it is. Alright, the Skeptic's Spice. A spice exuding a peculiar aroma. A spell demands devotion from its caster, but using the spices makes a chosen spell attainable with one less faith. Will only work with assistance from a certain person. The spice does not raise one's faith, but only obfuscates the requirement. So we're going to have to take this to a peculiar merchant, and I will show you all about that when we get an opportunity. Alright, so here, if you remember the cage in Dark Souls 1 in Sin's Fortress, it was a nice little shortcut. And it's the same thing here, except it's not much of a shortcut, but it is a way for us to get back up. So we're actually not going to use that to go down, because if we do, we're going to miss an item. So I want you guys to look below me, and you can see that there's soul items there. So all you're going to do is line up to the middle of this opening here and just run forward. Do not jump, just run forward. You're going to pick up the item, you get a bonfire ascetic. I'm pretty sure we've been over these, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. I might not have mentioned this in the walkthrough yet, actually, but the bonfire ascetic is going to... You're going to use it at a bonfire, and we'll go ahead and read the official description. Tossing this into a bonfire strengthens nearby foes. Once the bonfire ascetic is devoured by the flames, its effects can never be reversed. Be prepared before using this perilous ember. Fire exhibits a connection to the curse, and when the flames grow stronger, so does the curse. So what this means in its own way of saying, it does a pretty good job of explaining it, but you burn this at the bonfire just like you do certain other items, and you can actually burn this at any bonfire, but whichever bonfire you're using it at, it's going to strengthen the enemies all around it. It's basically like making that bonfire the next new game plus level for you. So if you're playing in your first playthrough and you use this at any bonfire, the monsters in that relative zone that are connected to that bonfire, basically if you were to tap that bonfire and reset that zone, those are the monsters that it would affect. Those monsters are now +1 new game level more powerful than they were before. And this also carries over into your next game. So if you replay that character through another playthrough, so if you went from regular playthrough to new game plus, then you would be fighting monsters around that bonfire that are level new game plus 2. So this is a great way to actually fight foes again that are like one-off kills. So if you're fighting an enemy that you only get to fight once in each playthrough, you can actually restore it with the bonfire ascetic that way. So it's a good way to farm extra rare equipment that you only get once per playthrough. it's also a good way to just set up farming again, because, and I don't know if I've mentioned this yet in the walkthrough at all, but you can't just farm enemies at a certain bonfire forever. Once you kill X amount of enemies in a certain area so many times, they just go away forever. They're not there anymore until you either use a bonfire ascetic or you go to New Game Plus. So there is an extent to how much you can farm a certain enemy. So you want to be sure, if you're farming for items, that you're wearing a high item discovery gear, and if you're just farming for souls, that you have everything equipped that will give you the maximum ability to consume souls from these enemies. So just be aware of what you're using. Don't just burn this at a bonfire because you have it and you want to see what it does. Understand what it does, because it could make your life a lot more difficult around that bonfire if you're not equipped for it. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, we can just turn around, and you can see down below us there's a platform, and you want to be at full health before you make this drop. So we're just going to move forward. You can see how much health that took away from me. Now this next fall isn't really going to hurt us, so you don't have to worry about it too much, but you want to angle the way that I am right now, and we're just going to run this way. There we go. So now we can get in front of this chest. Wilted Dusk Herb, and this is very similar to the last herb that we picked up, but it's going to be even more potent. Restores many spell uses. So we can see the Amber Herb slightly restores spell uses, but it does a pretty good job because it restores all spells that you have attuned. So this is a very valuable item. The Twilight Herb does even more, and the Wilted Dusk Herb does even more. So these items are very valuable for a sorcerer playthrough, especially if you don't want to reset enemies by tapping at a bonfire. But the Amber Herb is going to be the most cost effective because you restore so many uses of these spells if you have a lot of different spells in your attunement slots that have been used up. So the more spells that you have attuned, the more use you're going to get out of these items. Alright, so now we're just going to step right back into this cage here. It's going to take us to the top. You definitely don't want to try to fall down there. I just like centering in on his face because he just looks so ridiculous. Talk about a creepy ass elevator, by the way. Alright, so we're all good here. Now we're just going to sprint across there. We're going to go ahead and heal up just in case. But there's a guy right to our right. I forgot to mention him. And we get this last loot item before we leave here. 8 life gems. That's a pretty sweet snag. And this is also a good place to range attack these guys if you have some archery or whatnot. And you can actually reach them from here because you've got this wall barrier to protect yourself. But I wouldn't worry about it. It's kind of a waste. You can just get right by them by sprinting. Alright, now when we get here, these guys are going to drop down. So we'll just go ahead and wait. You see one drops all the way down. There, one lands next to us. There's probably one more. He might be coming for us, he might not. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and turn the corner here. Now there is a loot item down below. So we can rush down there and kill that guy. Just use your shield. Wow. Fucking wall. Don't stand at that doorway. God damn it. Okay. Now let's pick this up. Come on. Turn around. We're going to loot this dead guy here. Now you can go in here and kill these guys if you want. I suggest going up top to do so. Get a much better opportunity to kill these guys from up here. But you want to be careful you don't fall down there. You're definitely going to get killed if you fall down there. You won't die from the drop, but you'll definitely be hurt, and they're going to have time to hit you with their arrows before you can react. There's one. There's a couple of them. Now remember, if you can't target them, use your binoculars. See if this guy wants to stand still for me. This other buddy's coming out. Alright, he's by himself now, so we'll just go down there and kill him. I thought we had a loot item on one of these guys. Nope. Alright, so we're not going to go up there. We're going to go climb this ladder. Now there's an item here to the right, and that is the gargoyle. You can actually hear him. Definitely loud and scary. Now this is where the 3 archers are, so if you tap the bonfire, they're going to actually respawn. So it's a good place to get some kills on if you need to gain a couple hundred souls really quickly. But it's also not really a good place to farm because they don't give you that much souls. So don't think it's going to be like some great windfall of souls, but it is good for farming a little bit if you need 500 or 600 souls real fast. Okay, so we're going to travel back to Majula. We got some souls to spend. And those guys won't attack you if you're just sitting at the bonfire after you tap it. You actually have to move and make them aware of you.
Bearer of seek lest this.
Alright, so we're going to level up. And let's see. We're going to start working on vitality. And we should have some souls in our inventory, so we're going to start using those as well. So I'll go ahead and edit through this process so you don't have to witness that. Okay, awesome. So now we have 19,000 souls. I'm going to spend some more on leveling up. Alright, and once we get vitality to 10, we're going to start working on vigor and endurance. Alright everybody, so that's it. Subscribe if you aren't already. Click the like button if you enjoyed it. And also leave a comment in the section below with any questions you might have. I'll be sure to help you out. So we'll talk to you later. Peace out. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out my video and supporting my channel. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on all my social media accounts. And if you're feeling generous, click the donate button. Every little bit goes a long way in improving my ability to continually work on my channel.